Hello. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about motivation today and the nature of motivation. Just because that's something I've been thinking about recently, and I wanted to do another video, and I haven't thought of anything to talk about for a while. And I thought that would be something I could do. Um, Something that is a real struggle for me, and it's kind of upsetting to me, is that my motivation is so inconsistent. And maybe talking about it will help me figure out what is going on and maybe offer insight to somebody else. Um, it's just frustrating to me because like I have these days where it's like, oh, I want to do everything. I want to play all the instruments that I've got, and I pull them all out, and I play an hour of everything, and I get things done. I write something, I record something, I make progress on an etude, and it's only 8 o'clock at night. I still got time, and it wasn't a problem. And then so many more times, I'm not out of bed until 2 p.m. and I haven't done anything, and I don't do anything, and I watch YouTube, and I sit down and try to practice for an hour and get nothing done. And, it happens all the time, and it's just like frustrating. It's like, why can't I be like I was that one day, that comes every 2 weeks or so, where I just get all this stuff done, and, I start planning my day. I'm like, I'm going to get up at 7 in the morning, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to plan it. And 95% of the time, that's not how I function. I like structure, but I have difficulty imposing it upon myself. It's a lot easier when I have to be somewhere. I have to go to class. So I go to class, and then as I pay attention, then I start to be motivated. And it's a lot easier, obviously, to be motivated from the outside than to provide your own internal motivation. And it's hard to remember why you're doing things. It's easy to lose the big picture. And it's hard to, why do I have to work so hard at this one little thing that's not any fun? And it's just this small part of something that's much larger, and that if you do every single day, then you become a much better player, a much better musician, a better person by working on all the little things. And just something that I think of is that there really aren't big decisions in life. There's a million little decisions, and based on the way that you've conditioned yourself to respond to the everyday little things, you will then respond to the big things the same way, the way that you have crafted your personality and your outlook to be. And that way, if you're conscious about these little decisions, then big decisions are no longer difficult. Because, you've already made those decisions. You've already made them 1,000 times. It's like, am I going to get prepared for this test or this gig or this situation that I have to handle? Well, how have you been handling everything up until that point? And if you've been conscious about what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're doing it, it makes things a lot easier when the big things come. But anyway, I should probably write a list of talking points at some point rather than just rambling constantly every time. Because I know I have so much to say, and then you kind of draw a blank. But, I think about these things and the little decisions, and I want to always be making these good little decisions that build up to the big decisions. But then I get there the morning of, and I can't get myself out of bed, and it's so frustrating. Or I'm sitting there practicing, and I can't get myself to focus. It's like I remember yesterday I could play this, and I can't play it now, and I can't think straight, and I can't read the notes the same way that I could yesterday, and I can't focus. And that inconsistency is tough to handle, and it's tough to be motivated to work during those times when things aren't coming so easily. And it's like, man, I got more done in 15 minutes yesterday than I did in an hour today, just because of the way I feel. But I think it's important to work those days anyway, and just do what you can. Um, and I've definitely become motivated over time as I've just sat down and done it. It's just fine, I'll do it. Or if you can't bring yourself to do something that's hard, find something that you do want to do. And that helps me to find anything at all that you want to do, even if it's go for a walk outside, at least you're moving, and listen to music and, maybe think of what's an artist I can listen to, or something somebody mentioned, let's check that out. And, I'll hear something that I love that I haven't heard before, and that motivates me. I'm like, man, that is inspiring, and I want to do that. And you can find ways to do that, to do some sort of an exploration, whether on your instrument or listening or reading or just an idea of any kind. Find an idea that inspires you and work from there. And writing in general and doing something with regard to my original music is something that gets me motivated as well. It helps to start with that. And once I've written, a lyric or a verse, or I've played through one of my songs and made it better, then I can say, okay, now I can move on to the stuff that isn't quite as fun because I've achieved something today. And I can always say, I did this in any case, regardless. Because sometimes you'll practice an etude and you won't get better, or at least not noticeably, and it can be like, what was the point? But I feel like when I play my music or I perform it or I record it, then I accomplish something that day, no matter what. And so it's good to either start with that or just make sure you do something with it. Find that thing that's the purpose of your life. In my mind, it's write, record, perform music. And if I can say that I did one of those things or all of those things, then I can feel pretty good about myself. Even if I didn't fill the list, I didn't do all the assignments I needed to do for college, and I didn't get my private lesson material where it needed to be, at least I can say, here's the big picture. These are the things I want to do with my life, and I did it, and I did it today. And that helps. Because it can be daunting to just look at all the things you've got to do and just say, I'm not going to do any of it. Where if you could just start with something and do something you want to do and enjoy part of your day, then you have the ability to carry on and do stuff that's not as easy. And some people do better to just get the hard stuff out of the way in the morning, and that can be a great thing, Get up at 7:30 and do that really difficult section of practicing, and then it's done, and you don't have to worry about it. There's some days I can do that, but most days I can't. That's just part of my personality, is that I have to get pumped up about it before I can do it successfully. And I do get pumped up about stuff, There's stuff for the longest time, just playing the upright bass was just frustrating to me. It was painful, and it was hard, and I didn't want to do it. And I just, I forced myself to get my half hour in that I could physically do because it's such a beast to learn, and to get your flexibility and your muscles up to where they can do it. I have my small hands that I blame my difficulties on. But this semester I've eventually gotten to where I love doing that. I love playing with the bow, and I love playing some of the jazz music on it that I have for school. And, you can build that motivation, but I had to start from a place that I did want to do, play melodies of songs that I love. And from there I built to it. Yeah. So there's some general thoughts about motivation, the nature of it, I think, if that's what I talked about over the last 10 minutes. Or it's at least kind of my experience in trying to handle lack of motivation and turn it into something good by just doing something small that you enjoy and making sure that's, something in the day you should enjoy. No matter what situation you're in, you have to do something that makes you say, yeah, I'm glad I'm alive today. Because it can be easy to get caught up in all the stuff you've got to do and say, I don't have time. And that's something I wanted to talk about, is I hate that phrase, I don't have time, because everybody does. And it's a question of priority rather than physically how many hours are there in the day, because there's a lot of time. There's a lot of time that it's easy to forget you have because, you got busy watching YouTube, or you talk to somebody for 2 hours, which can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing, depending on, what the situation is. But you have a lot of time, and you should be spending at least some of it doing something that you're passionate about and is directly related to your goals. And just tie back what you're doing to your goals, and that can help you. If you've got assignments and classes you don't want to do, tie it to what you want to do with your life. And I do that with English classes, and I do enjoy English, but you can tie that to the lyrics of the music that you're writing and say, well, let's write something and connect these, integrate these topics into one another. And just the phrase, I don't have time, is an instant motivation killer. It's just, I don't have time for anything. So what's the point? And that's kind of the natural conclusion to that phrase, I don't have time, so what's the point? Whereas if you say, okay, I do have time to pick up my guitar, even though I don't have any classes that call for guitar. I pick up my guitar and I play it and I sing because I enjoy those things, and that's what I want to do with my life. And I'm like, yes, I've accomplished something. I'm doing what I want to do. Now I can get to the stuff that's less fun and more immediate, as far as what you're expected to do for classes and lessons and all that stuff. Yeah. Made it past 10 minutes. Hopefully the information's good. I don't know. Tis what tis. See y'all.